Hello, Monday the 3rd of March. We see Mercury move into the sign of Aries. And we see the moon in Taurus, creating a square with Pluto in Aquarius. It's also the 3-3 power day, where the number 3 is emphasized in its power and representations, and is a great day for manifestation. Mercury is a planet of communication and messages. It represents communication in all its forms. What we say, our words, our tone, our thoughts, and our expressions. It's our intellect and mind and how we process and understand things, how we learn and how we receive messages, both from ourselves and the outside world. It's how we express ourselves in all our forms. Mercury moving into Aries is the beginning of Mercury's new cycle through the zodiac signs, the zodiac cycle. Aries is the cardinal fire sign. It is the astrological newborn. It is the beginning of a new cycle. This sign wants us to take initiative and get things started. It has a lot of energy and helps us to push forward into new beginnings. Fire is associated with our passions, with our actions, with the choices and decisions that we have made, and how we act on them. As the first sign of the zodiac, it is associated with the number 1, I am, the number of being, initiation, action, new beginnings, and manifestation. Mercury in Aries is going to be a very direct energy. As Mercury is the planet closest to the sun, it represents our communication and intellectual perception. Because Mercury is the planet of thinking and Aries is the sign of doing, words tend to flow without a second thought while we're in Aries. While these two are synced in the sky, we're going to see our words become actions. This is also a time where we may express our ideas with more passion than usual. During Mercury in Aries, we're going to get straight to the point. This energy of initiations and beginnings, this energy of fire that's behind our passions and actions, mixing with our communications in all its form, is going to bring this very initiating energy where we are going to initiate our messages from a place of direct energy, allowing us to bring things into being. Mercury in Aries is going to open up the lines of communication and give us the encouragement we need to say exactly what we think and feel. Our thoughts and speech will become more creative as we initiate things into being, as we get flashes of insight that are going to allow us to create these new cycles, to communicate in new ways, taking the messages of the past cycle and integrating them into our thought forms to allow us to see where our messages are our own. For the number 1 in Aries is the sign of I am, and allowing us to really connect to the messages that we are giving out, the ways that we are communicating, the ways that we are speaking, the ways we are putting our ideas out there, and allowing us to initiate new cycles, new ways of speaking, new ways of turning up, new ways of taking those words and bringing them into action. A beautiful transit that's going to be with us the month of March, and will also bring us the Mercury retrograde on the 15th, when Mercury moves into the underworld in the sign of Aries. The growing moon in the sign of Taurus, the fixed earth sign, is allowing us to ground our inner knowing, ground our inner emotional selves, and ground in our inner wisdom, allowing us to perceive ourselves for whom we are, allowing us to cultivate and nourish ourselves in whom we are in our material world, in our being, in all its forms, really allowing us to connect to these energies of growth and renewal. A very nourishing moon that will allow us to see ourselves for whom we are, see ourselves for whom we want to be, and allow us to move towards those aspects, those goals that we long to bring into our being, enabling us to bring forward these inner aspects of ourself into our outside world, allowing us to shift energy from our moon, our inner self, to our outer self, our sun. Square aspects are aspects of tension and challenge where we need to make a decision, look at both sides of the energy and see what choices we have and to act on them. So this square aspect between this nourishing, growing moon in Taurus and Pluto, the planet of rebirth, renewal, the cycles of death and regeneration, the energy of change from the destruction of that which no longer serves. In the sign of Aquarius, the fixed air sign, really allows us to see where we need to change in order to ground ourselves in our being. Aquarius is the water bearer. It is about taking the knowledge that we hold within, the knowledge that we have gained while walking through the cycle, and bringing it into collaboration with ourselves and others, allowing us to bring forth the changes that we have been making in our inner world and enabling us to nourish them into our outside being, allowing us to see the rebirth that we have been going through, our ever-changing self as we learn and grow, as we work through the cycles, and using that information and knowledge to look at the choices that we have today and to make the choices and actions that are going to nourish our inner growth, allowing us to really see where we can act on our wisdom in order to ground ourselves in our being. Both fixed signs, allowing us to fix things into being, allowing us to create routines, allowing us to create patterns, allowing us to create these foundational energies within ourselves and within our actions and the ways that we change and renew, to allow us to hold those aspects as we continue to walk through our journey. Fixed signs are what allow us to keep things going. They're what allow us to take the energy that we initiated in cardinal signs, that we changed in the mutable signs, and that we now see what works for us, and bringing those aspects that work for ourselves into our daily being, allowing us to pour into our rebirth, pour into our change, pour into the transformations that we have been making, and to ask ourselves how we can take those transformations that we see and ground them in our being. A beautiful aspect that will correspond very nicely with Mercury moving into its new cycle, moving into Aries, allowing us to communicate our ideas, communicate our passions, communicate the new cycles we'd like to work through in ways that are going to allow us to ground in our inner self and bring change into being.